Yeah, here we go. Welcome in. Happy Thursday once again. It's the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by uwager.eu, our good friends at TrendyBets.com. You're going to learn all about our friends at TrendyBets.com coming up a little bit later in the show. Also, Thrive Fantasy. We want to thank those guys very much for making us a part of their day. Big announcement coming your way, by the way, for Thrive Fantasy. Those of you who might not have caught on to the Thrive Fantasy bandwagon, tonight, 7 o'clock, we are going to have a live broadcast from the Thrive Fantasy YouTube page, something you guys are going to want to be a part of if you like money. How many of you guys like money? Raise your hand. Do you? Okay, good. So you are definitely going to want to hear about that. We've got that coming up also here. Our friends at Miami Acura, we want to thank them very much for making us a part of the day. Let's go ahead and get that little scroll there out of there so you guys can see Miami Acura. We've got new news from them. We are just loaded today because the man behind the man joining us, Ralph Michaels, one of the legends in the business from WagerTalk.com. He's going to stop by like he does each and every Thursday. College football, not only tonight, NFL, not only tonight, but we got Saturday, a whole host of games to go over on Saturday in college football. And, of course, the biggest game of them all, the game we have all circled on the calendar, okay? The game that we have all been hoping that it would take place, at least on a field that could be played. We're talking about the Rams hosting now the Kansas City Chiefs. No more neutral field. We are looking at the Kansas City Chiefs on the road in a soccer stadium, not in San Diego, but in L.A., taking on the Los Angeles Rams. So that is going to be an awful lot of fun to talk with him about. We're going to break down the slate of games for you. That is coming your way. But first, like we always do, we got to thank our good friends over at Miami Acura. 855-564-4669. Those of you in the Pitbull area code, make sure you guys stop by South Dixie Highway, Palmetto Bay. From what I understand, the deals through Thanksgiving or right up until Thanksgiving, is that what they said? Unlike anything. Black Friday, of course, is next Friday, if you guys can believe that. And from what I understand, the deals on not only the all-new 2019 RDX, but the deals on all the certified pre-owned cars, it's like they're practically giving you the keys and asking you, just go ahead, drive off. I mean, practically next to nothing. But what you have to do is head over to Miami Acura. South Dixie Highway, Palmetto Bay, for those of you in the 305. Outside of the 305, simply call them at 855-564-4669. That's 855-564-4669. Tell them Joe sent you. Visit MiamiAcura.com. I'm telling you right now, there are no better deals to be had. If you are in the market for a new or certified pre-owned car this holiday season, don't go anywhere before you go to Miami Acura. Visit them at miamiacura.com. Big shout out to the chat room, by the way. Mr. Scrunt is in the house. He still is there. Also, Billionaire Goals joining us today. Jemiah, good to see you again. 8-Ball in the house. What is going on? 8-Ball on a Thursday. Happy to see you there. Michael, of course, joining us via YouTube. Thank you very much for stopping by. We're excited because we got plenty to go over. This is the day we make money. Thursday, games tonight, games tomorrow, and who better to do and talk these games with than our good friend Ralph Michaels. Hey guys, welcome in. Happy Thursday. We are loaded once again today, and when it comes between college basketball, college football, the NFL, there's so much going on tonight. This time of year is great for sports bettors, and I couldn't think of anybody better to bring on than our good friend Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com. He joins us each and every Thursday to try and kind of navigate through all of these games here. College football again, NFL tonight, and Ralph will start right here in South Florida. Boca Raton on the road. FAU taking on North Texas in college football. And oh my, can the FAU Owls overcome a 4-point, they're getting 4 points. Can they win outright in this game?
Well, you know, it's a game where hats off to North Texas is what they've done. And you've got the high-scoring Kiffin offense on one side, and on the flip side, you have a North Texas Mean Green defense that is either 0-8-2 or 0-10 over-under this year depending on what line you've gotten. So those games excite me when you have that contrast in style. You know, look at North Texas, and they're off that disappointing loss at Old Dominion and a loss at UAW and a 2-point loss to Louisiana Tech. So their 3 losses this year are by a total of 11 points. They're still a plus 122 yards per game, and at home, they're plus 188 yards per game, a number I certainly like. You know, and I look at the FAU Owls, and they've disappointed me a bit. They're not the same team that was blowing out people last year. They're only 3-10 as an away favorite their last 14 rolls. And in the situation, I think I'm going to favor North Texas. It's by no means a pick of mine. It's just one of my smallest leans, a game I'm going to enjoy watching. But when I play out the game in my head, it goes back and forth on who I think I can win. If FAU wins this game, no surprise. If North Texas wins the game by a couple touchdowns, no surprise. So one of those games that, again, you don't always have an opinion when you handicap out a game. There's times where a game fits right in that gray area that you're just going to say, pass and move on.
There's another game tonight too that when it opened up at 11. We're talking about Tulane and Houston tonight, and now it's been bet all the way down to, I believe, 8 over the last couple of hours here. Houston laying 8 points. I don't know what to make of this Houston team here, but it does seem like there's an awful lot of money coming in on this game here. Went from 11 to now 8. What do you think about the game?
You know, to me, there's value in this game, and the value is that if these same 2 teams were playing 2 weeks ago, this line would have been about 14. Well, what's happened since that time? Tulane won both games at South Florida 41-15, and they beat East Carolina 24-18. More importantly, what happened to the Houston side? A 14-point loss at SMU. They got outgained by 149 yards. A 10-point loss at Temple, allowing a Temple offense that isn't very good, 537 yards. I think this is a circle the wagons game. Houston, off those back-to-back losses, can score enough. Tulane's offense is really, you know, one-dimensional. They're a rushing team. Their passer on the year, Jonathan Banks, has 1,000 yards. Justin McMillan has 1,700 yards. So Tulane is a rush-first team with their top 2 guys having 1,500 yards rushing. Their top 2 passers only 1,700 yards rushing. In this situation, I think Houston can score enough to pull away, and back-to-back losses keeps them completely motivated to run up the score a little bit. I lean with the Houston Cougars tonight.
Ralph Michaels joining us, WagerTalk.com. Make sure you guys head over to WagerTalk.com. Go to the handicappers page. You'll see Cal Sports. Take advantage of the unbelievable deals that he has, not only with college football and the NFL, but also college basketball. Ralph is kind enough to join us on Tuesdays, and we talk college basketball, and there's plenty of that going on. And as we move into Saturday, Ralph, also some very intriguing matchups and some very intriguing lines as we look at it in college football. For instance, I look at a UMass team that burned me last week against BYU, by the way, but that's a whole nother story. But 43 points going up against Georgia. It's looking at me. It's winking at me. You know what I mean? It's blowing kisses. Am I crazy to be looking at UMass here getting 43 against Georgia?
No, actually, that's a great point to bring up. Not only at this game, but all the SEC times, because the joke is this is the SEC bye week. They're playing, you know, while Georgia's playing UMass, many of them are playing FCS opponents. And you look at these teams and you look at other teams across the country, and early in the year you see them beating teams 55-0, 62-7, you know, at worst 49-3. Those type of situations where they're blowing foes out. Now you got to remember these teams are in some of their most incredible sandwich situations that they're going to face. Georgia knows they're going to beat UMass. Georgia is off that Auburn game. They got their in-state rival Georgia Tech on deck. They're trying to work on the option. After that, they know they're going to have Alabama in the SEC championship. because of the situation, because of the sandwich spots for these teams, it's a great time. And I would say out of 8 of 10 of these teams that are playing these SEC teams or big teams in this situation, 8 out of 10 times I would back the dog in that role because they're still trying to play for something. Georgia has UMass, Georgia Tech, Alabama, and then a bowl game left. They have 4 games left.
Mm-hmm.
This is UMass's last game of the year. They're 4-7. They're done for the season. They got nothing left to play for. Let's try to get this game close. Let's try to finish the season on a positive note. And again, no bigger scheduling edge than that in football.
Yeah, amen. A team that is very dangerous is a team that has got nothing to lose, and especially when you come into a place like Georgia, who's looking or maybe looking ahead. Ralph Michaels joining us here via the Miami Acura hotline, and there's another one I circled, but it's not an FCS team, Ralph. It's an ACC battle here. I got Clemson laying 28.5 against a Duke team who is A, very well coached, B, doesn't ever really shoot themselves in the foot, beat Miami. I mean, what else does Duke have to do? 4 touchdowns? Again, another one that's just screaming at me to take over there. What do you think about Duke Clemson?
Well, you look at Clemson, and while they're the second-best team in college football, they have not done what Alabama has done and blown everyone out. Early in the year, they went to A&M. They got outgained. They won by 2. The Syracuse game at home, they only won 27-23. Yeah, they blew out Wake Forest. They blew out NC State. They were focused on those games. They blew out Louisville again. We talked, I think, on the show that Petrino would be gone. Maybe that was another show that Petrino would be gone in a day or two, and he got fired.
Yep.
And then at Boston College, you say, well, they're back because they helped Boston College to 113 yards, and they won 27-7. But Boston College lost their quarterback in the first series last week. So you are taking a Boston College team without their starting quarterback for a guy who didn't prep at all to play Clemson to come in against this defense. Of course they're not going to win. In Daniel Jones, you have a quarterback with a 16-6 ratio, been there and done that, has gone to Miami of Florida and pulled out the win, has wins at Baylor, Northwestern, Georgia Tech, and did lose at Pittsburgh, but at Pittsburgh they lost by 9, putting up 619 yards. Yes, they're going to get their points. I think it's a bonus, plus Clemson only 3-10 as a favorite of 20 more against conference opponents. Again, they don't look to blow them out. By the way, they got their in-state rival South Carolina on deck. Then they have to worry about the ACC championship. Then they have to worry about the college football playoffs. This isn't the game you worry about. You worry about winning, but margin doesn't matter. You're sitting at number 2. If you win out, I don't care if you win your next 3 games by a point each, no one's going to jump an undefeated Clemson team into the number 2 spot in the playoffs. You have nothing to worry about except win that game.
Interesting. Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com, joining us. You mentioned BC. I was thoroughly impressed, even though they lost, but I was thoroughly impressed on how they fought against Clemson, even when they ended up losing their quarterback. But here we are, another situation where it's kind of a head-scratcher here. BC on the road, heading to Tallahassee, taking on just an abysmal Florida State team this year, let's face it. But they're only laying a point in this game. And this is another one that you look at and you go, BC is just a better team than Florida State this year, aren't they, Ralph?
They clearly are. But, you have the question mark with Anthony Brown. He has not been cleared to play yet. He's listed as questionable. This line makes me think he's not going to play. And I want to point out a big difference between Florida State and Louisville, 2 teams that it seems have quit, on the season. But to me, there's a big difference. Louisville is a team that had people already transfer out this season, mid-season transfers. Louisville was a team without their players under control, tons of penalties, people arguing on the sidelines, people arguing with the coaches. Those people knew they weren't playing for Petrino next year. Florida State, you have Willie Taggart here. Now, yes, you're going through coaching changes. You've been through coaching changes, but these players know, despite getting blown out a couple games in a row, that Willie Taggart is still going to be their coach. I'm less apt to think those type of players quit unless they're going to transfer out. They're going to have been here. And you know what? They've lost 3 in a row, but look at the losses. I mean, they lost to Clemson, okay, 59-10. The score doesn't matter. They were going to lose to Clemson anyway. They lost at NC State. NC State's a very good team. Florida State even had the yardage edge in that. They were just minus 2 turnovers. And then they lost at Notre Dame. I mean, they only got outgained 495 to 322. So while they're getting beat, it's because the right players aren't in the right systems and they're changing schemes. But they know their coach is going to be there. They'll still try to play hard. And if Anthony Brown is out, I don't want Boston College in any situation, no matter who they're playing. If you find out he's playing and the line hasn't adjusted, I'm very apt to back Boston College.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of perspective we love from Ralph Michaels when he joins us here on Thursdays. WagerTalk.com is where you can find him. One of the other games that I circled here, Ralph, very intriguing to me. Kind of a look-ahead spot here. We've got Ohio State on tap next week. Michigan taking on a Maryland team. Maryland's getting 14.5 points. I'm sorry, Ohio State is not the Ohio State. It's a reputation Ohio State I think a lot of people are looking at this year. And Maryland would not surprise me that they'd cover and make this game a hell of a lot closer than 14.5 points. What do you think?
I agree. Now, you do have a situation, again, in this game that you are without your quarterback. Maryland is without Kasim Hill. He is now out for the year. So you have to put that in perspective. The difference is Tyrell Pegram has played a little bit. He now has the entire week to prep for this team. And it's Ohio State's defense that just doesn't allow them to get the margin. The offense does well enough. The defense, again, has not been the same since Bosa went out in the TCU game, and it's a game where I would lean with Maryland to be able to keep it close. You know, they had all that. They had let go. They hired the coach back. They let him go a couple weeks ago. Well, that was a complete distraction against Michigan State, playing poorly that game. It was no surprise. But last week they went to Indiana, and while they lost by 2, they actually had a 542 to 374 yard edge. So this is their final home game. Ohio State traveling. I think the home dog, I think Ohio State gets the win, but the home dog is certainly live for me as far as backing them against the spread.
And I agree with you there 100%. Ralph Michaels joining us via the Miami Acura hotline. WagerTalk.com is where you need to go. Get to the handicappers page. Look up Cal Sports. All sorts of great deals. 3-day packages, 7-day packages, 90-day packages. You name it. Not only college football, the NFL, but college basketball as well. So make sure that you guys head over there as soon as we're done. WagerTalk.com. Look at the Cal Sports page. One of the other just astronomical numbers here, too, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, Kansas getting 36.5 against Oklahoma. Another one of these, 5 touchdowns. Can Kansas keep it within 5 touchdowns of Oklahoma, Ralph?
Well, Kansas is a team that fired their head coach, David Beatty, a few weeks ago, but he decided to stay on. And they only put up 3 points against Iowa State, and they only put up 17 points against Kansas State, but they beat TCU the week prior. That Iowa State game, it's because they were minus a turnover. They only got outgained by 62 yards. Kansas State, they went on the road against their in-state rival that Bill Snyder has crushed them every year, and they had the edge. I completely think so as well. Oklahoma is in a different spot where they might need some style points, but they also needed style points 2 weeks ago at Texas Tech, and they only won by 5. They needed style points against Oklahoma State. They're a double-digit favorite and only won by 1 and could have lost if they went for 2. But more importantly is that they have West Virginia, a road game on deck, and with that loss of Texas, that West Virginia game is going to become an important part of their schedule. So because of the sandwich spot, again, if you're in a sandwich and you're in an Oklahoma State and at West Virginia sandwich, that leaves the door open for Kansas. Kansas making a back-to-back road trip, but on the year, not quite as bad as they look with their record. They're only getting outgained by 78 yards per game. In conference play, they're getting outgained 151 yards per game. Well, 151 yards per game is like a 10-point deficit. I think again they're a live dog in this role, and it gets ugly at the end of the year. But this is the time where those dogs are much more important because teams are beat up. They are a little closer in talent than they were. And people start feeling the pressure of being a one-loss team and having to play with all the national cameras on you, looking at every move you make.
One other game in the NCAA slate I want to run by you because this is another team that let many of us down last week. Fresno State is in an interesting spot taking on San Diego State. San Diego State getting, I believe, last check, 14 and a half points here. Does Fresno bounce back? San Diego State coming off just an embarrassing loss last week, but can Fresno State actually bounce back here?
I would not back them. They are the best team in all of college football. They are 18-4-2 against the spread their last 24 games. That's a phenomenal run. But yes, they lost to Boise. The problem is their defense is good enough, but Rocky Long and his 3-3-5 defense knows how to slow people down. I'm expecting Fresno. If Fresno scores 28 or 30 points in that range, that's about the max where I have them. So I have a San Diego State that was embarrassed. I mean, Fresno State lost a playoff-type game at Boise. This was a game that, they could have been that non-Power 5 team to go to a New Year's Day 6 Bowl. So their season is a bubble burst season. San Diego State season, well, they're still going to go to a bowl, but they were just embarrassed at home against UNLV with a backup quarterback, and now they're at home, and I think they could keep it close enough to cover the spread.
I love it. That's what we're looking for. Perspective, people. That's what you get at wagertalk.com and by following Ralph Michaels on Twitter at CalSportsLV. It's one of the best Twitter follows out there, guys. Some great information all week long, trends and points of view that you would never look at. Make sure that you follow at CalSportsLV. All right, let's look. NFL games, Ralph, tonight.
Hey, Joe, let me.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Joe, let me just jump in and talk one more thing with college real quick.
Sure.
Just to get our people apprised for next week. The line's already been out for Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan is actually a 3.5-point favorite at Ohio State for next week.
Wow.
So unless something crazy happens, that's going to be a shock. At the beginning of the year, when they opened the game of the year lines, Ohio State was a 7.5-point favorite. So we have an 11-point swing.
Wow.
And you can also bet right now on Clemson against Alabama in the national championship. This would obviously be the fourth straight time they play. Alabama opened up as an 8.5-point favorite against Clemson. It's already been bet down to 7.5.
Wow.
I like Clemson in that role. I made that line 6. So getting over a touchdown, but it gives people an idea of what those lines would be, and they don't even need to have an idea. Those are actual bettable lines that have been out here in Vegas.
There you go. And all that information, by the way, guys, wagertalk.com. They've got write-ups on everything there. Make sure that you head over. Michigan, Ohio State, already out. And then, of course, Clemson, Alabama. I think we can all agree that's probably where we are heading at this particular point. All right, NFL tonight here, Ralph. You've got, to me, it's a battle between one quarterback who shines in the spotlight in these types of games and one quarterback that's and that quarterback that's is Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson in this spot has just been fantastic in his career. Seattle, Green Bay, what do you like about this game?
Well, I am going to back Seattle. They're 7-0-1 on Thursday nights. They know how to live in the spotlight. I like that Russell Wilson is finally running the ball more. Both he and and Cam Newton are back to their running styles, and we see the improvement in both Seattle and Carolina this year. Here's a stat for you. When the Seahawks have extra rest because they were off a bye week, and they're not playing for at least 7 days in the next game, under Pete Carroll, they are 61-29, 68% in that role. Seattle's a tough place to play. Green Bay's been off a couple huge games before Miami in their past game. Tough stretch to be in. I'm going to back Seattle tonight.
Yeah, I like Seattle, and you know what? I liked them last week too, getting 10 points, I think, double digits against San Diego, and quietly they've kind of gelled together, and I think this is one of the better years that we've seen from Russell Wilson, mostly because he's being protected, and I'm not sure that the Green Bay defense is going to be able to get to Russell Wilson tonight. A few of the other games on the NFL slate there, Ralph, that kind of stood out to me a little bit. Talk to me about the Bears and the Vikings, and why are the Bears favorite ever? I can't get that out of my head, but you're looking at a 2.5-point favorite right now over the Minnesota Vikings. What do you like about that game?
Well, I think the Bears deserve to be favored in this role. You're looking at a team that, they lost to New England at home by 7. It was a game that was close to within the fourth quarter, but they had a significant edge there, a 453 to 381 yard edge. And the last 3 weeks, they beat who they had to, and they look better because they beat the Jets, they beat Buffalo, and they beat Detroit. But when I look at this game, Chicago's won a few big games early, but they were always in the underdog role. They went to Green Bay, they were winning. Rodgers came back. They beat Seattle at home. They hung with the Jets. They beat Tampa Bay. And now they're finally playing a division foe, and they're favored against that division foe. That, I think, is a negative. It's difficult to play as a favorite when you've been for a dog this long. You have a young quarterback in Trubisky, and now you have Minnesota that's getting disrespected. Minnesota is saying, we're the underdog. We have the team that was one of the Super Bowl champs. And I look at the Minnesota Vikings defense the last 4 weeks, absolutely amazing. 269 yards to Arizona, 263 to the Jets, 270 to New Orleans, 209 to Detroit. The defense that everyone was worried about at the beginning of the year has allowed 250 yards per game their last 4. I think Minnesota gets it done here. I understand why the line is where it is. The Bears have a lot of followers. The people soured on the Vikings with 3 losses this year. But, again, you look at the Vikings' 3 losses. Yes, everyone remembers the Buffalo game as a 17-point favorite, a historic loss. But the other 2 losses were to the Rams and New Orleans, my number 1 and 2 teams in the NFL right now, power rating-wise. So I think Minnesota's ready to take this game and go on a nice run and establish themselves as the NFC North champion.
I'm so glad that you actually brought that up, Ralph, that you mentioned New Orleans being the best team right now in the NFL. They are firing on all cylinders, and they find themselves at home taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, laying 8.5 points. Is the defense of the Eagles, do you think they'll be able to slow down Drew Brees and company enough to be able to cover this game?
Listen, we know every year that you're not the same team. Even if you have the same players from one year to the next, it's just a different dynamic. You're going to lose a few players on offense. You're going to gain a few, lose a few players on defense and gain a few. This is not that same Philly team. Philly this year is only outgaining foes by 14 yards per game. There's a reason that they have 4 losses on the season. Make that 5 losses with the Dallas game. And you look at how they've played. Philadelphia is a team that plays outdoor. Everyone they normally play is outdoors. Now you're going to the Loud Dome. This is a scenario where I think that New Orleans is a team playing that well. And why you think you have value with the ex-Super Bowl champ, you know what? That doesn't carry over with one iota, except if you're playing against them, you get value a lot of times. I think this line should be 11 or 12.
Wow.
But because Philadelphia is the Super Bowl champ and not looking at how they're playing, every year there's a team in the NFL that just goes on an amazing run, and people say, wow, this line, why is it so high? And yet they keep covering those lines. Well, when you have a quarterback like Drew Brees that continues to score, you know, Michael Thomas is dynamic, opening him up. Taysom Hill, I love the way they use him, a backup quarterback who plays tight end and special teams and does everything else. And now you got, you know, Alvin Kamara and Ingram back from injury. The defense getting better. You know, a couple pickups they made. I am a Saints backer, and when they're at home, I'm not afraid to lay this number.
Yeah, that's it, Ralph. Loving the Saints. Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com. Make sure you head over to the Cal Sports page there. All sorts of value in Ralph's picks. Just get a couple of game picks. Get 3-day passes, 7-day passes, all at your fingertips. Not only the NFL, college football, and college basketball. Make sure you guys head over to WagerTalk.com. Another one that is very interesting here, Ralph. How about the Steelers getting 5.5, laying 5.5 against a Jags team? Talk about two teams going in opposite directions here. But can the Steelers, can they cover 5.5 against that defense?
Well, you know, I was on Jacksonville last week, and they got the last score to get me a push at Indianapolis as they were +3 at Indianapolis. And, you know, the defense is doing fine. I mean, the defense is averaging 319 yards, and they're averaging only allowing 246 yards per game at home. I mean, that is just a crazy low number.
Yeah.
Granted, you know, it was Houston, the Jets, Tennessee. The offenses weren't great. They did hold the Patriots to 302 yards. The difference to me is Jacksonville had been without Fournette for quite a few weeks. He returned last week. He should be healthy now. They're playing only their second home game in 6 weeks. They were at Kansas City, a very tough game. At Dallas, a very tough game. At the Super Bowl champs, and then last week against Indianapolis, they were playing their 4th road game in 5 weeks. And the team in the middle, Houston, one of the teams that's totally on fire, losing their first 3 games and winning their next 6. So I think, you know, Pittsburgh's defense is so much different. Their offense isn't nearly as good on the road as they are at home. And I think Leonard Fournette is the difference in this game. And I think Jacksonville can win and cover this game.
Love that. Ralph Michaels joining us via the Miami Acura hotline. How about this game, too? Because I circled this. This is one of those Joes versus the pros, I think, here, Ralph, when you got a lot of people watch the Dallas Cowboys win last week, prime time. A lot of people feeling, all right, the Cowboys have put it together. And Atlanta, well, they got beat by the Cleveland Browns last week. And here we go. We got the Cowboys laying, I believe, or rather are getting 4.5 points against this Atlanta team. What do you think in this situation here? Are the Cowboys, have they straightened things out? Are they the real deal? And can they go to Atlanta and actually cover a game like this?
Well, you know what? It's the NFL. So if I have a team that looked good last week, such as going to a division rival in prime time and beating the ex-Super Bowl champs 27-20, and on the flip side, I have a team that went to the Cleveland Browns and lost that game, I'm usually going to fade that team that looked horrible against a bad team, against a team that looked good. And that's the case for me in this game. You know, Matt Ryan still has a 21-3 ratio. That compares to 11-5 to Dak Prescott.
Wow.
And yes, the defense has had their concerns, but this is now, I mean, you look at the sandwich situation for Dallas. They went to play Philly on the road. That was a division game they had to win. And after Atlanta, they host Washington, another division team that's ahead of them in the standings. So that's important. So they're playing the back-to-back road games. Atlanta's offense, again, no concern. They did get held to 16 points last week. But again, Matt Ryan was 38 of 52 for 311 yards. Now, you know, I hope you don't ask Mark about this game because I am going to use one of Mark's trends. And, you know, Mark is, this is actually in Mark's playbook. And teams that beat the Super Bowl champ on the road and covered by 14 points. Dallas was getting a touchdown, and they won by a touchdown, so it was a significant win. Those teams the next week are 4-21-1 against the spread.
Wow.
So, again, playing the Super Bowl champs means something. Playing on national TV means something. Playing your division rival that happened to be the Super Bowl champs on the road really means something. And again, there has to be some sort of letdown from that, even though you're playing in a very good Atlanta team. Now, again, Dallas in the same situation, haven't played in a dome yet. Now they're going to play in a very loud dome. Different dynamics for the quarterback. I'm going to back the Falcons.
All right. And finally here, Ralph, the game that everyone has been waiting for weeks now, Rams-Chiefs. Now, the interesting part about this game, for those of you that don't know, this was originally going to be on a neutral site field in Mexico City, but Shakira happened and a bunch of fireworks, so now it's back in L.A. Opened up at +1 for Kansas City on a neutral field. It is now Kansas City getting 3.5 against this Rams team. Chiefs defense, not exactly the greatest. The Rams defense has holes in it. What are we looking at? Maybe a possible over in this game? Who do you like and why, Ralph, with this situation?
Well, let's talk about the historic number first. Since 1989, so we have 30 years of NFL action. How many times has there been an NFL total over 59? A guess, Joe?
I'm going to say once.
That would be 7. There's been seven times where there's been a 59 total. No total has ever been higher than 62. That was back in 2000s. That was the 49ers and the Rams. I think that was the Rams team with the greatest show on turf. So, that total was 62, and it went under. But of the 7 games that have had a total of 59 or higher, they've gone 4-2-1 against the spread. So 4 overs, 2 unders. So, hey, if you do like the over, don't worry about it being that high of a total. Just a couple, in January of 2017, we had the Falcons play the Packers in a playoff game. That total was 60.5. So that was the most recent one that was over. That was the only other total over 60 besides that Rams game back in 2000 and that playoff game. So a lot of times Vegas can't make a number high enough. And if you like a total, let's say that's 37 and you like the under, or you like this total that's over 60 and you like the over, you have to remember this when you're betting. Vegas isn't making the line where it should be. This line probably should be 63 or 64. Vegas is making that line where they're getting equal money on both sides. They don't want a liability. They want to make their 10% juice off the losing people. So their goal is to get half the money on the over, half the money on the under, and where they made the line right now, they're getting that. There's a lot of NFL people that say that number is just crazy too high, I'm going to bet the under. There's a lot of Joe Public people that love offense and say, I'm going to bet the over. So they're perfectly happy with where they are. And again, that's not where the line should be. That's where they're getting equal action on both sides. So keep that in mind. I think the Rams are a better team with their defense, but there's something about this KC team and Mahomes. It just reminds me of New England. They get it done. Hey, Andy Reid just doesn't get enough credit as a coach. He's one of the top coaches. He's over 60% in every game he's coached against the spread in his entire career. And as a dog, Andy Reid in his last 9 roles as a dog, 8-1 ATS. But more importantly, in his last 9 roles as a dog, 7 upset wins in those 9 games. So if you've got a guy who has a dog can win a game outright, I'll usually grab the points with him.
Wow. And it's, as of a little while ago, it looked like 43% of the bets, 83% of the money, most of that's going to be from Joe Public, is on the over. So you got a lot of Joe Public looking at this game and just going, they're going to score 100 points. But I don't think we've seen any of the sharp money come in just yet, Ralph. But it doesn't look like the public is scared of a 63.5 number by any means.
Oh, hell, if it's the highest number in the last 30 years in the NFL, you might as well go over.
That's so true. Ralph Michaels, wagertalk.com. That is where you guys have to go. Make sure you take advantage of some of the amazing packages that are available. It's the Cal Sports page at wagertalk.com. They've always got just some real valuable information at your fingertips there. Things that you guys need to know to make smart, intelligent betting decisions. Take advantage of the deals Ralph has going on right now. College basketball, NCAA football, the NFL, all available for you by heading over to wagertalk.com and the Cal Sports page. And programming note, I believe, Ralph, we're going to do this again on Wednesday next week prior to the Thanksgiving games. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely. You know what? We could talk Thanksgiving games, and who doesn't watch football and eat turkey on Thanksgiving? That's just being an American.
That's it, man.
So, hey, we'll be able to talk all those Thanksgiving games, and rivalry week is just the best week of college football there is.
Amen to that. Ralph Michaels, wagertalk.com. Ralph, enjoy the weekend. Good luck, my friend. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Thanks, Joe. Bud.
You got it. At Cal Sports LV, that is where you reach him. Some great stuff there, as always. Only the best for you guys. That's why we bring on the likes of a Ralph Michaels. And, man, that was a whole lot of quality information there. And it sounds like the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams, okay, it sounds like if you have any of those players in fantasy, you should probably play them because they are going to score 900 points. 63.5 is what the over-under on that game is right now. So I'm not sure if any defense will be played, but I do know this. Matt Latufsky, sportingnews.com, he's going to join us here in just about 7 minutes, and we're going to ask him about some of the plays here. Should we just stack everybody on the Rams? Should we stack everybody on the Kansas City Chiefs? We'll get his thoughts, of course, our weekly Stardom Sit-em with Matt Latufsky. That's coming up. We're just getting started. We got 1 hour in the books. We got another hour to go. I'm going to introduce you guys to a brand new 5-star member of the Joe Raineri Show. It's going to be the fine cappers at TrendyBets.com. They have your TrendyBets play of the day. They've got a game they want you to know about. They also would like me to tell you, head over to TrendyBets.com. Check it out. One of the nicest, coolest, easiest read sites that I have seen. They've got a bunch of free plays on there, so you guys can check it out. All sorts of pertinent information. It's all about doing the homework, which a lot of us just don't have time to do, right? Because we've got jobs, we got lives, we got girlfriends, we got boyfriends, we've got kids. You don't have time to spend 40 hours a week handicapping games. That's what they do over at TrendyBets.com. So check it out. The trends are phenomenal. And also coming up, bottom of the hour, I think 5:30. 5:30, we will have your TrendyBets.com play of the day. You guys are not going to want to miss that. Also want to send a shout out to those of us hanging out, those peeps of ours hanging out, I think on Facebook. Is it Facebook? Yes, Facebook Live. We've got two of the biggest Kansas City Chief homers I think we've ever seen are gathered on our Facebook chat room there. Travis and Christy are hanging out. They are everything that is Kansas, from the Jayhawks to the Kansas City Chiefs. Hell, they even root for the Royals. They are that kind of diehard. And I had mentioned that, listen, guys, not for nothing, but I came across this particular stat for your boy there, Mr. Patrick Mahomes. And I was a big Mahomes fan until I came across this post earlier today. And I do want to get Christy and Travis's take on the fact that Patrick Mahomes says not only does he put ketchup on his steak, which is enough to make me want to throw up already, but apparently he also puts ketchup on his mac and cheese. So I need to know here from the lunatics that are hanging out in our Twitch chat room, our YouTube chat room, our Facebook chat room, also our Periscope chat. Can somebody please explain to me the whole ketchup with the mac and cheese and steak thing? Now, is that just because the steak is so damn burnt that you've got to use something in order to be able to eat it, because otherwise it's like chewing on your shoe? And what is the mac and cheese and the ketchup thing? So is it as a Midwest thing? Is it a Kansas City thing? Like, I don't get it. Somebody's got to be able to tell me that. You guys, please throw me anything in here. Let me know why the ketchup in the mac and cheese and why the ketchup in a steak. I was so for Patrick Mahomes prior to having to read this menu earlier today. Now I've got total doubts. about anything he can do. Ketchup is my icing on my steak. All right, see, you, Travis, you guys are in a whole different world. I cannot relate. I cannot relate. As a matter of fact, put that up as a poll question. Let's see if we can get that up there. Yay or nay with the ketchup on the steak? How many of you, and you guys over Heesil and Mr. Brown Pearl and you guys over in YouTube, Jeremy, John, could you guys please tell me, a show of hands here, hit me up there in the YouTube chat rooms if you guys actually put ketchup on the steak. I want to know what's going on. This has got to be a Midwest thing. I'm not sure, because you won't find that in the Raineri house. I promise. There ain't no, when we have steak, the last thing that's on that damn table is ketchup, unless it's for like French fries or something along those lines. But you people out of your great minds think alike. I don't want to hear it, Travis. You're out of your mind. Those of you that are just joining us, congratulations. Patrick Mahomes puts ketchup on his mac and cheese. I want to throw up. All right, so before we get to your Stardom Situm questions, which, by the way, we've got the man, the legend himself, joining us via sportingnews.com, Matt Latufsky. He's going to join us here in just a couple of minutes. If you guys have any fantasy questions, daily or otherwise, now would be the time for you to hit us up. He's going to join us in a couple of minutes. But before he does, let me, guys, just remind you about our good friends over at Miami Acura. 'Tis the season to get yourself the car that you've always wanted. That's right, especially the all-new 2019 RDX. Why? Because we've never seen prices like this before. Do yourself a favor. It is pretty simple. All you have to do is head over to MiamiAcura.com, set up an appointment, go take the all-new 2019 RDX for a test drive. It's like driving in your living room. It is completely redesigned, and we've never seen lease payments this low ever before with the all-new 2019 RDX. And if it's a certified or a used pre-owned vehicle that you're in the market for, don't do anything before you visit the folks at MiamiAcura.com. Check them out. South Dixie Highway, for those of you in the 305. Outside, just call them 855-564-4669. That's 855-564-4669. That's South Dixie Highway, Palmetto Bay, for those of you who know what Pitbull is. Make sure you guys check them out. Better deals will not be found right now than at Miami Acura. Do yourself a favor and head over there. Also, show reminder, just want to let you guys know, what a way to end the week. Tomorrow, the man, the legend, the man who started it all, Mr. Mark Lawrence, he'll be joining us, playbook.com. We'll get his thoughts on the upcoming games, including this ridiculous Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams game. We'll get his thoughts on what he thinks. If you guys don't know, Mark Lawrence was a guy that, 40-some-odd years ago, he started what is now a thriving sports service or a sports handicapping service. It was his newsletter that started it all. He actually, even Ralph Michaels even got his start working for Mark Lawrence. So Mark is going to join us tomorrow on the show, 4 o'clock. You guys do not, and I repeat, do not want to miss Mark Lawrence on the show, playbook.com. Make sure that you guys follow him too on Twitter, at Mark Lawrence. Some great stuff there. All right, so now it's time to talk a little fantasy here, and nobody better to do that with than our friends from the sportingnews.com, Matt Latufsky, who joins us via the Miami Acura hotline. He joins us each and every week. We're talking fantasy. We're talking Kenyon Drake. Let's get it out of the way. You're not going to play any Miami Dolphins this week. Is that correct?
No, I mean, the funny thing is Kenyon Drake at 0 points might be better than some weeks he's had this year. But, yeah, we're spared the Kenyon Drake starter sit drama this week.
It was funny. We were just talking, Matt, about the over-under. We had Ralph Michaels on from WagerTalk.com. We were talking about it's one of the highest in 30 years, one of the highest over-under totals in the game. And, it begs the question here from a fantasy standpoint. Are we just stacking everything that is Rams and Chiefs this week? Is that a good way to look at it? Or are there some guys you just don't like?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is all these guys are must-plays every week, right? Like Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce, both quarterbacks, Todd Gurley, the wide receivers for the Rams. Like, they're all must-plays anyway. So you look at it and say, well, are there any fringe guys now who become better plays? And I think the only guy that stands out is Josh Reynolds, moving into the third receiver role with Cooper Kupp hurt. A lot of people like him. What's interesting, though, is if you look at the stats, very quietly, Kansas City is I think 25th in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. Like they're allowing points to backs and tight ends, but not really wide receivers. Since week 2 was really their last bad week. So from that standpoint, when you look at a guy who's already third in the pecking order, you say, well, is he really worth playing? The numbers say no. I don't know if the numbers matter in this game, though. Of course. We know that the Rams like to do interesting things, give the ball to their wide receivers on end arounds at least once or twice a game. Maybe he can still do something. I'm not ruling it out. But, where the Chiefs are really vulnerable is tight ends. Both tight ends scored for the Rams last week, but they don't feature the tight ends. I don't think anyone's playing Gerald Everett or Tyler Higbee this week. So it's really just status quo. And, really the only thing is neither of those defenses, which are both fantasy relevant most weeks, can be in lineups.
Yeah, that's true. Matt Latufsky, sportingnews.com. Got a whole bunch of questions this week regarding Cam Newton, if you can believe it. But there are some questions on whether or not Cam Newton is too risky of a play versus the Lions this week. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't really see any reason why he would be. Obviously, they're coming off a little bit of a bad game. Cam Newton's a guy who was sort of notorious in fantasy circles for being really up and down. Huge games, studs. Huge games, studs. This year, he's been almost Phillip Rivers-like, just steady. You kind of know what you're getting. He's had a couple big games, of course, no real duds. Last week, though, was a disappointment, I think, for a lot of people, the Thursday night game against the Steelers. But, look, the Lions' defense is struggling. Darius Slay's banged up. If he doesn't play, that really opens up the passing game, I think, for the Panthers. And, just the connection that Newton has, throwing the ball to McCaffrey, the tight end, which the Lions aren't great at covering. Yeah, it's a road game, but they've had a lot of time to prepare. And the Lions, just got roasted by Mitch Trubisky. I'm not worried about Cam Newton at all this week.
How about tonight, though? Interesting game. Seahawks, and this is a position where Russell Wilson, throughout his career, primetime games, the Monday nights, the Thursday nights, the Sunday nights, Russell Wilson has shined historically. Aaron Rodgers, not so much. He's been about as mediocre in these games as anybody, any quarterback that we have seen. Do you look at Aaron Rodgers and maybe go, if there's a better alternative, everything being equal here, but maybe do you look at trying to replace Aaron Rodgers just because of the position that he's in and historically how mediocre he's been here?
Yeah, I don't think so. There's only so many, quarterbacks like him out there at a given week, and then you try to find the matchups. This is a really weird week in fantasy because there's teams on bye, which is usually terrible, but they're all awful teams except for the Patriots. So from that standpoint, it doesn't really open up, great matchups for a lot of other quarterbacks. And so you look at some of the ones who do. One of them is Eli Manning. Well, you're not playing him ahead of Aaron Rodgers against the Bucs. One of them's Dak Prescott against the Falcons. That's a decision, right? I think that's kind of what it comes down to. Do you want to play like a Dak Prescott in a great matchup, or Aaron Rodgers, kind of a mediocre one? I'm sticking with Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to be the guy who benched Aaron Rodgers. We know that Seattle's kind of a little house of horrors for the Packers. If there's ever a game where he should be motivated, it's this one. Certainly Jimmy Graham. Revenge, to find all those narratives that really never pan out, but we love to talk about for gambling and fantasy purposes. They're there. I think he's going to be fine. I think we have him ranked around 8th among quarterbacks, so in most cases you're starting him.
We got he is Matt Latufsky, sportingnews.com, joining us here via the Miami Acura hotline. Interesting, too, we got a couple of questions surrounding what do you do? Blake Bortles taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, or Ryan Fitzpatrick taking on the Bucs. Listen, if there's nothing else, the Buccaneers have figured out how to score some points. There's probably going to be some value in Ryan Fitzpatrick. But Blake Bortles, now with Leonard Fournette back, might open up the passing game. What are your thoughts there?
Well, you say the Bucs have figured out how to score points. They figured out how to get yards.
Yes.
They didn't figure out how to score points last week. But,
that's good
what's funny is the Giants, I think we all say, well, they're horrible. Statistically, their pass defense has been strong this year. So it's a road game, too. He's going to have turnovers, but he will have yards. Blake Bortles, though, is just not really a guy I feel comfortable with. The Steelers, another team that defensive stats really got inflated by struggling early. Patrick Mahomes lit them up, a few other guys early. They've been real strong lately. They're on the road, yes. You mentioned Fournette being back. I think all that does is just give the running game more touches and more production as much as it opens anything up. Last week Bortles connected on an 80-yarder to Dante Moncrief. That's tough to expect that again. So the Jaguars have been a weird team this year. Surprised people when they beat the Pats, but are on this horrible losing streak. I just can't trust Blake Bortles. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, at least the yards will be there. He'll make it ugly. He's got the talent in the receiving game, so I think you play him in that case. We got
some stardom situms coming in. We've got we need two out of we need three here. It is Peyton Barber, Marlon Mack, or Lamar Miller.
So if you take those three, I think if you're ranking them up, I put Miller first. Gets a pretty good amount of touches. Not a great matchup on paper, but he's in a pretty good offense, gets touches. And then, Mack and Barber is really interesting because Barber has a much better matchup. But Mack, I think, is a better player, and he struggled last week, which wasn't a huge shock. But you look at the Titans. Titans statistically are dead last, or the best, I should say, in terms of limiting fantasy points to running backs. Running backs, they've only scored, I think, 3 touchdowns against them all year. But the rushing yards are okay. So anytime I see a stat like that, I go, well, touchdowns can be fluky. There's not really a secret to keeping running backs out of the end zone, right? Sometimes it just kind of happens. So I do kind of think Marlon Mack will have a much better day than the stats indicate. I like him in his all-around game. Peyton Barber, there's this built-in ceiling with him. We know that. So even if he gets in the end zone, has 70 yards, that's about all you can expect. Mack can contribute through the air. He can contribute on the ground, obviously, as we know, get in the end zone. So I would play him there and go for the higher ceiling, even if it means a little bit lower floor.
Matt Latufsky, SportingNews.com, joining us. It's an interesting one. I've seen this come across a few times now, and it centers around Latavius Murray having to go up against that Chicago defense. But it's interesting. One person texts in here, Latavius Murray or Mark Ingram, who also does not have a great matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles here.
No, he doesn't, but I really don't know why you'd want to mess with Latavius Murray when Dalvin Cook's back. I don't think he's going to get 100% of the touches, Dalvin Cook, that is. But with Mark Ingram, look, we know that's an elite offense. We know he's going to get at least a dozen, probably a few more touches. And we know they can blow up against anyone. And, yeah, the Eagles have a great run defense, but we saw Zeke shred them last week. And, Mark Ingram can contribute through the air, too, we saw last week. And, he's been frustrating this year, a little up and down. It's really frustrating when Taysom Hill comes in the game at first and goals. It's real frustrating when Alvin Kamara stays in of the 1-yard line. Just the way it is, he's not automatic like he was last year, but he still has more upside in a given week than the majority of running backs out there, even the starters. So, yeah, I think that's an easy one. I think it's Mark Ingram.
We've got some wide receiver questions coming in. One has to do tonight. We've got Doug Baldwin or Josh Doxson of the Redskins taking on Houston there.
Yeah, real tough one. I mean, because Doxson's coming on, lately. He's kind of the number one receiver there. But, Baldwin looks a little healthier. I worry about him a little bit on the short turnaround with the knee. But much better matchup. I think the Packers are 5th most in terms of fantasy points allowed to receivers, and the Texans are like 5th fewest. Now, they've had a very favorable schedule, but the fact of the matter is the Redskins don't have a good passing game either, so that would fit right in with their favorable schedule against passing offenses. So I think that's got to be Baldwin. I don't think either of those guys you can feel great about, but at least he's got the much better matchup.
How about we got a Demaryius Thomas now with the Texans? Keep that in mind going up against the Redskins. Demaryius Thomas or Cortland Sutton, who's also come on there, the guy that actually took his place on the Denver Broncos, taking on the Chargers. Cortland Sutton, Demaryius Thomas, who you like there?
Yeah, I mean, real tough one, pretty even. I'm not sure either of those guys will do much. I do like Thomas a little more. I just think he's got a little better matchup. I like his quarterback better. With Sutton, he's one of these guys who easily could go off. He's kind of an exciting young player. He's got size, he's got speed, etc. He didn't do much in that first game without Thomas. This is, it's not a great matchup on paper either. It's a road game. I like him coming out of the bye. That just the team should hopefully have a few more tricks up its sleeve. But at the same time, I just kind of look at it and I say, I kind of want to see it happen first. The guy who really benefited their last game was the tight end, Jeff Howerman, who I kind of like this week. But, as far as Sutton, I don't blame anyone for wanting to play him. He certainly has upside. Anytime a guy is sort of a wild card, we haven't seen a lot of good or bad from him. You always say, well, what if he's awesome? And he could be. But I don't know. I think Thomas, you kind of know the targets are going to be there, even if he comes back.
Even if he does, yeah, that's true too. All right, Matt Latufsky joining us here via the Miami Acura hotline. Sticking with the wide receiver questions, we need one out of the following three. John Brown, Ravens taking on the Bengals, which secondary is a mess. Sterling Shepard going against Tampa Bay, or Devin Funchess, the Panthers taking on Darius Slay in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, you can make strong cases for all three of those guys. Basically matchup based. Like I said, if Darius Slay's out, we saw what Allen Robinson did. I think Funchess can do well. Sterling Shepard against Tampa, everyone roasts them. But I think it's Brown on the condition of if Joe Flacco plays. Now, if he doesn't, that really changes things.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much you can trust either of those other two quarterbacks. John Brown's, I think he's been like 33 yards or fewer in 3 of the last 4 games. Now, he kills it in good matchups. He killed this same matchup back in too. So it's real hard to sit a big play guy like that in a fantastic matchup. But the quarterback issues, it can't be ignored.
No.
But at the same time, Eli Manning is his own quarterback issue for Sterling Shepard.
Yep.
So I would probably say Brown either way, but I get if people are scared. Like I said, I think all three should do well.
We've also gotten a few questions from both of these guys, and it is kind of, I don't know if you avoid both of them. Mike Williams, Terrell Williams with the Chargers, who are taking on Denver. This game looks like a grind them out kind of game to me. So, as far as the wide receivers on the Chargers go, I don't know that I'd look at either one of these guys as a strong play this week. You?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Keenan Allen's the number one there. Melvin Gordon is essentially the number 2 in the receiving game. I mean, Mike Williams is basically a glorified tight end.
Yeah.
That guy's, just a boomer bust, touchdown or nothing, so real hard to start him. And Terrell Williams, big play guy, on a hot streak. It kind of got broken last week. But I think you can play him at wide receiver 3 in a lot of cases, but it is boomer bust. I mean, it's not that much different than playing Deshaun Jackson or some of these other type of wide receivers. I don't hate them, but at the same time, I'd be looking for another option and just see who else is out there and maybe go for like a higher volume type guy or at least a guy in a better matchup.
We've got some fantasy football tight end questions coming in. Trey Burton Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings, or Benjamin Watson the Saints taking on Philadelphia.
I mean, I think it's Burton. He's been better this year, a little more consistent, even though he has been a little bit disappointing, I think. And, the Vikings are a team where if you're going to attack them defensively, it's with the tight end. That's where they've, had the most problems. They've locked down wide receivers outside of the Rams game. They're good against the run. I think this is a game where if the Bears want to win, it's got to be Trey Burton, who's a focal point of their offense. So whether or not that happens remains to be seen. But the Eagles are phenomenal against tight ends.
Yeah.
And, Ben Watson's been up and down, too. So I think that's got to be Burton.
Here's an interesting one. A defensive question comes in, and I can see what the problem is and why they have a dilemma. But do you start the Seattle defense tonight against Aaron Rodgers, or do you start the Titans defense taking on Andrew Luck?
I mean, I really don't like either, to be honest with you. I think there's probably someone on the waiver wire. I'm a big play the matchups defense. Sometimes it burns you because you wind up starting a bad D, but I just think the matchups tell you way more about defense than the unit itself. So I think this week's brutal because you have 5 horrible offenses that you love to street defenses against. They're on high.
Yep.
And then a couple of the other really bad offenses, the Cardinals, are playing the Raiders, the absolute worst fantasy defense there is. The Giants and Bucks are playing each other. That one's brutal. I would try to see who's out there. I like Arizona a lot this week as a potential streamer, facing the Raiders at home. There's a couple others. I honestly don't mind the Giants either. Fitzpatrick will throw picks, and the Bucs, as bad as they are, they got a little pass rush here lately. And they've had about 12 sacks in the last 3 games, and we know the Giants have trouble blocking. That said, if your only choices are Seattle or Tennessee, I would play Seattle. It is a short week. They are at home. Typically, home defenses on Thursday nights perform better. We know the crowd impact there. So it's tough to expect Aaron Rodgers to make a lot of mistakes, but at the same time, I just think you're better taking that home Thursday D than a road team on Sunday.
Let's end it on a quarterback question, an interesting one at that. Mitchell Trubisky, Bears taking on the Vikings. That could very well be just a old school NFC North disgusting game that nobody wants to watch, or Andy Dalton, who doesn't have A.J. Green anymore, taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Who would you start out of those two?
Yeah, well, Marv Lewis is dancing around the A.J. Green thing like he's going to play, which is crazy. But, yeah, the fact that Andy Dalton at home last week in a phenomenal matchup laid a complete egg tells me you can't take him on the road in a tough matchup. So it's got to be Trubisky. I'm not that high on him this week, but the rushing ability's there to raise his floor. And I think, if that's your choice, I think it's Trubisky, sort of a lukewarm recommendation, and you hope he runs for a lot of yards. We saw Josh Allen, put up 3 touchdowns and have a good week against the Vikings in Minnesota. So if he can do that, I think Mitch Trubisky can.
Yeah, that could very well be. That is Matt Latufsky, sportingnews.com. All of your fantasy questions could be answered simply by following him and Latufsky on Twitter. Always a great follow there. Nobody does it better. Go to sportingnews.com. Follow him. Check it out week after week. Nobody is on top of it quite like Matt is. He joins us each and every Thursday here. Matt, always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. Thanks for taking the time. Good luck. At least you don't have to hem and haw on whether or not you should start Kenyon Drake. I know he's your favorite player of all time, but no Kenyon Drake this week, my friend, so you can rest easy.
Nope, now it's another Bama back. Derrick Henry is the Bama mind. All right, I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Matt. We'll talk to you, brother. Thank you very much. Matt Latufsky, sportingnews.com. What a blast that is. All right, guys, we got so much going on here. We still got a lot happening, but we do want to recognize a few people that are joining us via the chat rooms over here. Joey joining us on Twitter. Also, Steven making an appearance there on Facebook. Pleasure to see you. Doug. Hey, Doug. Doug Scissor. I think that's Doug's for Scissor. Doug Scissor joining us on YouTube. You guys, always a pleasure to see you. We're keeping the ball rolling here on a Thursday, getting ready. Full slate of college basketball that started about 11 o'clock this morning. College hoops. You got NBA. We've got NFL tonight, of course. We've got college football. We got all sorts of stuff. But coming up here next, we're going to introduce you to one of our 5-star, and I mean 5-star companies that have joined here on the Joe Raineri Show. Somebody I want to introduce you to. They are TrendyBets.com. I would highly recommend that you guys head over there. I'm talking 5-star service here, guys. They do all the legwork, so you don't have to do it. Make sure you try them. TrendyBets.com. They have the TrendyBets.com play of the day that is going to come your way. We're going to go ahead and give you that coming up here in just 2 minutes. But first, of course, we've got to thank a few more of our sponsors here on the show. Low Cost Airlines, 800-761-1427. If you're planning on flying away for the holidays and you don't want to pay an arm and a leg, there is nobody who does it better than Low Cost Airlines. They'll find you the cheapest airfare around. 800-761-1427. And Superior Cruise and Travel. Maybe it's a cruise. You want to get the hell out of Dodge. You don't want to deal with family this holiday season, and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to be in town. I'm going to be on a cruise. Bye-bye now. Then definitely call Superior Cruise and Travel. 800-901-5536. That's 800-901-5536. And coming up, we will have your TrendyBets.com play of the day. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Why? Because you can save 45% on packages compared to your high-priced cable bill. Wow. Take those giant scissors out and cut the cable and save with Dish TV. Plus, you get a free DVR upgrade to record your favorite shows and free installation. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch TV for free on your mobile device. Act fast. You can save hundreds of dollars. Does your cable company do that for you? I don't think so. Get all the best TV programming at your fingertips at a fraction of the price of cable TV. So say adios, arrivederci, goodbye to the high cable bill and save up to 45% on Dish TV packages today. These are limited time offers and can change at any time. Call fast. 800-293-0328. 800-293-0328. 800-293-0328. That's 800-293-0328.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. That's 800-764-9168.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-761-1427. 800-761-1427. 800-761-1427. That's 800-761-1427.
Get ready to talk sports. It's the Say It With Me podcast. Now here's your host, Joe Raineri.
Real excited tomorrow. The man who started it all in sports handicapping, Mr. Mark Lawrence. Playbook.com. He'll be joining us on the show. What a hell of a way to end the week there with the man, Mr. Mark Lawrence. At Joe Raineri, and we ask all of you crazies that are joining us in the chat rooms again, first of all, thank you very much for making us a part of your day. We also ask that you go ahead and share this if you could. Subscribe, retweet, tell your friends about it, tell your neighbors, tell people you don't like if you really want to annoy them. Tell them to stop by the Joe Raineri Show each and every day during the week, Monday through Friday. We stream live across every major platform known to mankind, including Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. We are here each and every day, and we pride ourselves on bringing you guys only the best. And I mean the best when it comes to sports handicapping and sports handicapping services. And that is why I am proud to announce that we have come together and affiliated with one of the new kids on a block, and these guys are fantastic. TrendyBets.com. They certainly get our 5-star service award, and we told you we don't bring anybody on this show unless we have absolutely vetted them, gone through the process, and make sure that they are the real deal, that there is transparency, there is accountability, and that they just don't hide behind Twitter names and websites and, disappear when the going gets tough. I can tell you right now, TrendyBets.com, one of the new up-and-coming sports handicapping services. You guys are going to love them, and they do have a new segment here on the show. It's your TrendyBets.com Play of the Day, so make sure that you guys visit TrendyBets.com TrendyBets.com for more of their plays. They've got some free plays and explanations that they go ahead and put out each and every day, and their packages are so ridiculously affordable. Give them a shot, guys. It's TrendyBets.com. Their play of the day has to be in the NBA. That's right. Tonight's Warriors, Rockets, Houston -2.5, total 220. Their pick going with the under in the 220 is what it looks like. They got a couple of trends, too, that they wanted to let you know. Number one, under is 4-1 in these Warriors' last 5 versus a team with a losing straight-up record. Number two, the under is 5-1 in the Rockets' last 6 overall. Rockets have not been great. Another trend, under is 39-17-1 in the Rockets' last 57 games versus a team with a winning percentage above 600. And then finally, the under is 5-0 in the last 5 meetings between these two teams. So that is your Trendy Bets play of the day. Warriors, Rockets, total 220. They like the under. The free play is the under 220 in that game. Make sure you guys head over and try TrendyBets.com. It's an awesome website too, by the way, guys. Some of these websites that you guys see, I don't have to tell you. You go there and your eyes want to explode because it's so damn busy. There's stuff all over the place. This is one of the better websites on the net right now, offering very affordable packages at great prices. So give them a shot. TrendyBets.com. That is your play of the day. This is crazy. Got so much going on here, and we're not done because as soon as we're done here tonight, we are prepping for a very special live broadcast with our friends at Thrive Fantasy. Now, I've been telling you guys about Thrive for the last couple of weeks here, and I've had an opportunity to actually dive in with them and check it out and try it first because you know this. Before I put my name on it, I like to actually try the platforms before we go ahead and tell you guys about them. And Thrive Fantasy is really changing the daily fantasy game. It is, you'll never play DraftKings and FanDuel again after you give this a shot. And for more information and to learn what it's all about, we're going to go ahead and broadcast live at Thrive Fantasy on their YouTube page. So if you want to join us via YouTube Live, head over to YouTube, check it out, Thrive Fantasy. Just search Thrive Fantasy. We'll be broadcasting to you. I'll have the CEO on. We're going to show you guys exactly what Thrive is, how you can profit from it, and really why it takes prop betting to a whole different level. Awesome stuff. You're going to love it. If you're tired of losing your ass playing, FanDuel and DraftKings and, oh, wow, I won $3. Yay. Yeah, you're going to love what Thrive is all about, and especially if you love prop bets, because it kind of changes the way that you go about betting the games and looking at the games and watching the games. And I mean, for as little as $10, you guys join, they'll go ahead and match it and give it a shot. But join us tonight. I'll have Adam Weinstein, the CEO from Thrive Fantasy, on there. We'll kind of walk you through, introduce you to Thrive Fantasy, and show how you can make some money, get involved with it, and have a lot of fun, and never, ever, ever play DraftKings or FanDuel again. That's coming up 7 o'clock live. Make sure you guys head over to YouTube and join us there. Check out the YouTube page, Thrive Fantasy. Follow it, subscribe to it, and join us tonight. We're going to have some fun doing that. Also want to thank Ralph Michaels tonight for stopping by. Always a pleasure to see him. He'll join us next Wednesday. Program note, next Wednesday he'll join us ahead of Thanksgiving so we can talk about our Thursday games and, of course, the college games that are coming up. Ralph really, if he was going to play a game tonight, I do believe the game that he liked was Houston, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Yeah, Houston was the play tonight that he liked there. But don't worry about it. If you didn't get a chance to see Ralph's picks, it's simple. As soon as we're done streaming here, you'll have access to it. It's here for you guys. Make sure you rewind it. Check it out. It's the beautiful thing about on-demand and live streaming is once we're done here across all the platforms, the video is there for you to be able to check out. And Ralph had some great things to say not only about tonight's games, but also Saturday and Sunday's card, and there are some monster games. So make sure you check that out. I do believe Jersey Kid Picks at some point is going to join us for the 2-minute drill, which is why it's important for you guys to follow us here on Twitter at Joe Raineri. Make sure you follow there, and then find us Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope at Joe Raineri Show. Make sure you guys subscribe there and come here. We only bring you the best, guys. It's about providing you the information you need to make smart investing, handicapping decisions. And the guys that we bring on this show are the best of the best. It's the only reason that we bring them on. Mark Lawrence tomorrow, the legend, the man who started it all. You don't want to miss this. He'll give us his thoughts on the games coming up this weekend. But on behalf of Miami Acura at TrendyBets.com, make sure you guys head over there. Wager Talk. We want to thank you guys very much for making us a part of your day. Join me tonight live, 7 o'clock, Thrive Fantasy on YouTube. I'm telling you, you guys are never going to play daily fantasy at FanDuel and DraftKings again. Come have some fun with us tonight at 7 on YouTube. Have a great night. Mark Lawrence tomorrow. We'll see you then.